What's the deal, everybody? Welcome back to the studio. Jeremy Deal here, and today we're going over smooth gimbal movements for real estate video. Now, I know I covered this topic matter roughly a year ago, but some of you are still having issues. I'm looking at you, Alan. I'm gonna dig a little deeper into the things I did not cover last time that may help you remove some of those micro jitters. I'm really gonna teach you how to turn this gimbal and make it look like this slider. That's right. Super smooth, buttery gimbal actions. Let's go. All right, so there's nothing to it but to get straight into it to start talking about the gimbal. And I know last time I mentioned balancing the gimbal, and I also redirected you to Peter's site because he really does great gimbal walkthroughs. But there's 2 points I want to point out. That's repetitive, but I'm gonna point out 2 things that when you're balancing your gimbal, you tend to forget about. And let me just say that balancing the gimbal is the absolute most important step to actually getting that super smooth footage. If you're anything like me and you just started off, you think it's probably cool to just balance your gimbal at home, and whenever you get to site, it'll be ready to go and you can just use it. I did that for a long time and suffered from micro jitters. So the number 1 tip I can tell you is once you have everything set up on site, to rebalance your gimbal. Make sure it's all there. Now I'm going to go over some of the steps in balancing the gimbal. Now I'm going to turn this sideways, and everyone knows that you adjust the side to side to make sure it doesn't go anywhere, and the front to back to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. But there are 2 other angles of attack that you should also be checking. The first one is turn your camera completely up like that. And if it stays perfectly good, then it is a good balance. This is adjusting this little piece right here, this little arm. It goes up and down, and depending on how big your lens is, depends on where this sits for a perfect balance. So if you're not balancing this direction, you're forgetting one of the steps. The next part I'm going to talk about that I don't really see anyone talking about when it comes to balancing gimbal footage, but I've made sure that I do it every time, and it's really helped me in the long run with a lot of those micro jitters. And what I do is I take my gimbal, set it forward, and what I do is I take these little legs and I tip it forward like this. And watch this arm right here. Let me turn it sideways so you can see better. This arm. See, when I tilt it forward, it naturally moves that way a little bit. You don't want this to move at all. So maybe you need to adjust it a little bit. Just like all the other little arms on your gimbal, you want to make sure when you tilt this forward, since a lot of your real estate work is it tilted forward, this is not rotating anywhere on its own. See how now wherever I put it, it stays there? This is a very important one. So 2 balancing points to not forget about when doing your gimbal balance is your connection balance point right here at the bottom. And once again, the upside down one, and that one can be located right over here on the gimbal. Doing those 2 things should drastically reduce the micro jitters that you're getting. Micro jitters are actually coming from the motors in the gimbal struggling to keep the camera balanced. And if you don't start with a perfect balance, you'll notice that a whole lot more in your footage. So like I said, balancing the gimbal is pretty crucial. Now I'll go on to my next step that's really helped me, and I've just integrated this over the past few months or so, and it has really made a difference. So if you saw my last video, I talked all about holding the gimbal, how to hold it close to you, how to remove a lot of the micro jitters that comes from just fatigue of the arms moving back and forth. And I'll show you a few video clips while I'm talking about this of exactly how I've fixed this for me once again. And it's a simple neck strap attached to the gimbal. Now, do you think I'm going to tell you to go out and buy some super fancy and very specific neck strap? No, not at all. The one I am using actually came from an old camera bag. I'll grab it right over here. Here we go. The old trusty from a camera bag Kinetics neck strap that I just put around my neck, and I put it around the gimbal, and this helps. Now, as you're looking through this footage, notice how having the gimbal attached to my neck like that, moving forward and backwards, allows me to smoothly operate my arms forward without showing any micro jitters or fatigue from the process. Now, whenever I first started doing this, I actually had one of those Peak Design clips screwed in right here, and I used a different neck strap. The problem I had with that is that it was unbalanced to one side because I didn't have one. If you look at this, it actually has 2 holes, one on each side. So what I needed was something that had a balance point in the center. So that's why I ended up going with this old trusty strap right here. Boom, like I said, I literally just wrap it around. It's nothing fancy, it's nothing special. It just helps keep the weight off of my arms while moving back and forth. Now notice through these clips, you'll see once again, I am moving at the knees and the hips. You want the hips to have that parallel line of action. So moving at the knees and not taking steps forward is very crucial in my ability to make a gimbal look just like a slider. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. You know how this rolls. Help me, help you, stuff like that. Buy stuff from links. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. This is the end of the video. As always, keep rocking and rolling. Enjoy what you're doing. Make smart business decisions. And don't forget those 2 extra balancing points on your gimbals. Lastly, get yourself a neck strap. You'll thank me later. Catch you next time.